Good morning, good morning. It's hump day. It's not hump day, it's just the middle of the week. I don't know what's happening with this up here. My hair, who is ready for a haircut, you lot? Who really needs to just go to the hairdressers now? I'm booked in. I'm thrilled. I'm very excited about being booked in at the hairdressers. But it can't come soon enough. I can't get there for a couple of weeks yet. First off the mark this morning, Vicky Head. Good morning. How are you? Bright and breezy over there. Good morning, Govinda. How are you, Angel? Tell me where you are watching from in the UK and indeed abroad. We do have a global audience now. Welcome to the Show Up, Wise Up, Rise Up show with me, your host. I am the Queen Bee, Dani Wallace. I know that's a bold statement. If you want to know more about why I say I am the Queen Bee, go and watch yesterday's show. I ended up doing a one-woman show yesterday, and we had a lovely old time. I was sharing some stories and sharing some things with you all. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was nice to mix things up a little bit and just, let you guys know where it is that I come from, because I forget so many of you are new to our world as this thing grows and grows, and it's getting crazy. It's quite nice to reconnect with that and share that with you. So there are some fab things that are coming up in terms of what we're doing looking forward. I did tell you a little bit more depth about the Fly Anyway Foundation coming up at the end of the year, which I'm really excited about. I told you about, I didn't tell you about this. Charlotte's booked in next week for a haircut. I think it's the 20th. I'm booked in. Can't come soon enough. Like, it needs a good chop. It needs a good chop. I tell you what I have got. Oh, it's not on here. I got some like root touch up spray, which is pretty epic. Katie Taylor not been tuning in a while. Am I okay? Yes, I am okay. Thank you very much for asking, Katie. Are you okay? Good morning, Jenna Rigby. Up bright and breezy this morning. Kalini, hello, hello. We've got Kalini on the show. In the not too distant future, which is very, very exciting. So I put a shout out yesterday. I was talking to my ops manager, the incredible, which is my business partner, Daniel Hanson from Pretty Practical Business. What I'm able to do with Danielle being like an external business partner but helping me is that I get to look at my business and everything that is happening. She like hovers above it all and looks at how all the bits and pieces all fit together. And she was like, Dani, you do realise that in a few weeks' time you've got a few gaps. I was like, right, well, let's get the show booked up. So I put a shout out yesterday in Lisa Johnson's membership group, the Get Shit Done Society, the GSD Society. And we are now booked up until October, which is crazy. I put a shout out and everyone went, yes, I want to be on your show. So there are so many people, new people, that are going to be on the show, people that I don't know even. So I'm really excited about what the coming weeks are going to look like, because so far it's been a lot of my mates, it's been a lot of my like circle, and my circle's quite wide, and I'm pretty decent, I'm pretty well connected, but it's really interesting to see the different types of conversations, the different types of people that we're going to be having coming through onto the show. Super, 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 super exciting. And then I was talking to, can you remember when we had Janelle McLeod on the other week? And she was in Virginia in the USA, and she was doing some Caribbean cooking with us, and she was teaching us about saltfish. I'm thinking, like, she reached out yesterday, and I'm thinking, we might have a little regular cooking slot. So I think once a month we're going to bring Janelle on, and she's going to teach us how to cook different types of Caribbean breakfasts. So I am here for that. We might even do a cook along one morning. So yeah, so we've got some exciting things coming up for the show in the coming weeks and the coming months. So I'm dead excited to share those with you. What else do I need to tell you this morning? Be Inspired is almost sold out already. It's almost sold out. We have got only 65 spaces and we are over 50% there. They're only 65. Like I said, we're going to be socially distanced, but over half have now gone. So there's only a few tickets left for Be Inspired. So if you do want to come on to Be Inspired on the 10th, it will be in Manchester, the 10th of September. Tickets are £89. You can get them on Eventbrite. I'm going to pop the link here because you guys need to start being a little bit quicker off the mark if you want to make sure that you get yourself there. If you get your ticket and it gets moved, Obviously, you'll be the first to know about it, but also there'll be an option to refund the ticket. So don't worry, your ticket money will be safe, regardless of what happens. But we are still in. We are still in the diary. We are still going to be looking after everybody. We're still going to be socially distanced. Everyone's going to be super safe. But that is for Be Inspired. Helen Ferguson she's flying in. I'm excited for Be Inspired. But there is the link, just in case anybody wants to grab them. But you're going to have to be quick off the mark to get them. Joanna's got her tickets. So before we carry on with anything else, look outside. Look outside, you guys. It's a little bit overcast here, but it has the potential to be warm this morning. Let's do the shit weather. What's it doing where you are? We're going to have to go for an It's a Bit Shit here in Preston this morning. Even though you can see the potential in the day, it is cloudy, it is overcast. Stick your head out the window, you lot. What's the weather like where you are? Tell me. Tina Nichols, good morning. Booked in at the hairdressers in 2 weeks, counting down the days. It's driving me crazy, right? I am with you, sister. I feel your pain. It is Vicky. It is grey over here in the Norfolk area. It's a bit shit in Cheshire. Oh, come on, summer. Do you know what? In March, at the start of lockdown, we were blessed with 10 weeks worth of awesome weather. We were blessed with 10 weeks of summer in spring, and now it's just a bit shit. And I know in the southwest, you've been getting, in the southeast, sorry, you've been getting some scorcher weather. But in the northwest, if we feel like we've had our summer right now, so still scorcher in the south of France. Of course, it is Helen. We shall live vicariously through Helen today. It is drizzly in North Wales. Let's get a little rainy bee in the north of Wales. How are we doing? Whereabouts are you watching from in the world? There's just under 40 of you watching right now. Where are you watching from? Tell me. Stick your head out the window. Tell me what the weather's doing where you are, and I will represent you with a bee on our board. Cloudy in Shaky Wakey. It's a bit shit in Shaky Wakey. Oh, it's in the middle. We've got Yorkshire. We've got Yorkshire covered by your Cheshire. Look, we'll do this. Even though we're going up towards the wall there. It's properly shitty, Sandra. In Derbyshire. Oh, my goodness. But what are we doing? Let's push you up, because I'm imagining, unless one of you lot are going to correct me, that this is actually what it looks like here. These bees are too big. Raining in Suffolk. Tennis is cancelled. Fuming. I know you like to play tennis, Lisa. Is Suffolk here or here? Where's Suffolk? I'm going to say Suffolk's here just for a laugh. I'm going to make up the geography. That's a scorch your bee as well, and it's not. You said it was a bit shit. Or is it raining? It's raining. Sorry. I'm just going to do this. Suffolk. Here? Where's Suffolk? Oh, it's raining in the north of London. That's all right. I can pop you there, and then you can look at that. You can look at the surrounding area. Oh, it doesn't matter what the weather's doing. If the weather's not nice, then the weather's just not nice. It doesn't mean that we have not got love in our hearts and fire in our bellies, right? Right. So, what I was right first time. Was it up here? Down here? All right, first time. Let me rectify, Lisa. I'm just going to do this. There we go. For a laugh. All right. We are going to get on with today's show. I am so glad that this incredible woman, this woman, has booked back on, because she was meant to be on the show. I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago, I was in the car on the way to a photo shoot in Brighton, and I'd stopped at Pottage Peas service station in sure and certain hope that StreamYard was going to let me on my iPad do the show. Now, at that time, StreamYard didn't allow for mobile devices to host, which has now changed, by the way. If any of you out there do use StreamYard and want to use your mobile device, your iPad or your mobile, it now has the capability to host, which I wish it did 4 weeks ago, because then we could have done the show then. However, it has just prolonged the excitement whilst we bring this fabulously, I got hiccups, onto the show. I've not had any drink, I promise, just a massive big vat of water this morning. I'm trying to look after myself, remember. So I'm just going to bring her on. I want to bring her on, and I'm going to let her tell you what it is that she does, and I'm going to, and we'll share with you the love that way. So please, in lieu of the applause button, although Sam Adams, when we had her on Monday, do you know what she does? She has a little, like, an Alexa, and she gets Alexa to do applause. I wonder if I can hook up my little Google. I've got a little Google dot here, look. I wonder if I can hook it up so I can make it make applause sounds. I'm going to try it. I'll try it later on. But in lieu of the applause button, please do share, like, love this little live this morning as we welcome onto the show the fabulous, the wonderful, the gorgeous Bev Futia. Hello.
Hello. That was a drum roll. I feel like I should be doing some sort of dance now. No pressure.
One of my favourite things, Bev, is bringing my friends onto the show and introducing them onto the show. And never once have they gone, that were a bit shit the way you brought me on there.
The thing is, as you go on, you get more and more nervous because you think, what's going to come out of her mouth next?
She's going to make up some stuff now. What's she going to say? The nice thing is that I've had the honour of bringing you onto the stage before.
You have, yes. I was one of your Be Inspired, what do you call them, trainees.
Yeah.
So, Be Inspired. I'm still on a high from it, Dani. I really am.
You were amazing.
Because we got away with it just before lockdown, really, didn't we? It was only 2 or 3 weeks before.
I feel like Be Inspired's going to bookend this whole lockdown period.
Yeah, it will.
Right at the start, the last big event was One Manifest, which happened a week later. But we were right at the start of things really happening. So we were during Be Inspired, we were hearing rumbles, but we were still hugging. We were like, they weren't. It wasn't on our doorstep yet. It was all right, you know. The week after was One Manifest, and then it was like, are we hugging? Are we not hugging? We don't know. And then the week after that, it was lockdown, and that was it. We weren't hugging anymore, and it made me sad.
Yeah, and me. I think I got all my hugs in Be Inspired and a Woman Fest quick.
Like we were hugging. We were, you know, there was a lot of love that happens at these events, and Be Inspired in particular. So we had an interesting evening before Be Inspired together. We've had lots of interesting experiences. So you and I worked together, didn't we? From September last year.
Yeah.
And then all of the people that work with me through that 6-month period before Be Inspired are people that go on to speak on the stage at Be Inspired, and we film it, and it's fabulous. And you absolutely smashed your talk out of the park. Tell everybody what it is that you do, Bev.
Now what do I do?
What do you do?
Work with magic. So I kind of like work with magic in the wedding industry, which sounds a bit bizarre thing to say. But not everybody knows what bridal coaching is, you see. So my sort of background is very sort of corporate. I think a lot of us have that similar story, don't we? Corporate world, accountancy, project management, etc. Got into sort of the performance management world and coaching, and then found NLP. So for those who don't know, neuro-linguistic program.
Yeah, explain that, because for us that are in the industry, NLP is a term that is often bandied around. I'm trained in NLP from my corporate days. You are highly skilled. You're an NLP master. Like, what is it? Explain yourself.
Oh, you put me on the spot. So first of all, I'm glad it's a morning slot, not an evening, because when you've had a glass of wine, saying neuro-linguistic programming is difficult for starters.
I have trouble saying my name.
Yeah, so we'll stick with NLP. So it's a way of working with people and breaking down their sort of like language. So it's hence the linguistics. So it's about how people use language to themselves and also outwardly. I don't want to get too mucky. It's all
right. No, it's all right. We're learning together.
And so it's about understanding how people use that language and how then that can have an impact on their behaviours, their emotions, and sometimes their physical health as well. Right. Because a lot of what happens around your mental health and your emotional state, actually, rather than outwardly showing it's an emotion, you can show it physically. So as an example, you might get a bad back and stuff like that, when actually there's nothing physical gone on with your back. It's around that emotional turmoil. And a lot of the emotional turmoil we have got control over because of the language we use to ourselves And so the neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, is about understanding some of that. And then what you can do is you can help reframe things. So if something really negative has happened in someone's life, you can use that language and you can use some work around future visioning to make it less painful. So you can do things quite creatively, like, so if you think of a situation in your life that's been saying, like someone might vocalize it as a real dark moment, then you'd pick up with that and say, right, well, let's give it a colour, and it might be black. And then as you work through it, we might be able to turn it slightly grey, we might be able to turn it light grey. And it's not about removing memories, it's about making sure, and experiences, it's about making sure they're a bit more comfortable to deal with. Am I explaining this well, Dani?
You are, no.
To a fellow NLP, so you feel like you're being tested?
I am. I'm not testing you. You're the master, not me. I just trained. It's interesting that, like, with NLP, so one of the big key like messages, I guess, within the coaching industry, one of the big key messages within even psychotherapy and, you know, the practice of working on the mind and outcomes, I guess, is that your thoughts become your words become your actions become your outcomes. And what neuro-linguistic programming does, it disrupts the thoughts becoming the words. Because then the words become your actions, and your actions become the outcomes. So if you work on that, that can almost work in reverse, where your words can become your thoughts if you work on the words, because they're all interlinked. So by disrupting that flow, thoughts becoming words, words becoming actions, actions becoming outcomes, you work on that second step there, you get to help tweak what's happening behind the scenes in the thought situation, but also massively impact your actions and your outcomes. Is that?
Yes, that's what I said.
That is exactly what you said, and you said it so much better than me. And I think it is, it's hard to explain.
It is
and easier to practice once you know it. It's almost like you learn how to do it, and then you do it, and then you realize that some of these things you actually do naturally anyway, but with awareness you can harness the power of it, can't you?
Yes, definitely. And I think that's a big thing really with regards to that coaching, because a lot of sort of coaching practices, there is a process and there's a journey in which you take the client on, where with NLP it's very much about their languages and their behaviors that sort of set the triggers as to where an NLP coach would take you next.
Yes.
And so it's a very individual experience when you're being coached by someone who's studied NLP, because it isn't a case of just taking you through that program. It's about working differently, I feel.
So how have you taken all the training that you've done within the coaching sector? Because you help people getting married now. That forms a huge part of your business. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of training around performance coaching, really.
Yeah.
And I've done work with regards to business turnaround and stuff like that. And at Be Inspired, my talk was very much on self-limiting beliefs, identifying them and managing them. And all of that really stems from life's events, those stressful life events. And, the top three are, moving house, new job, and marriage, and it's one of the biggest projects of your life, and yet most people overlook it. So from a career point of view, if you're climbing that ladder and there's a big promotion coming up, you'll probably reach out and get a coach with regards to your performance, whether it be specific for the interview, or you'll have a bit of a mentor to get you to that next level. And again, if you're a sports person and you want to make that next level, again, you'll reach out for a coach. And yet your actual wedding planning is one of those big projects again, and no one seeks any support at all. And there is so many people who end up not enjoying the actual wedding planning process, or the wedding day itself ends up being nothing like what they wanted, because they go through those self-limiting beliefs about what do I deserve, what do I value, about spending money on themselves. So all those sorts of self-limiting beliefs. And interestingly, as much as I say I'm a bridal coach and I'm there to support people through their wedding planning, interestingly, a lot of the work I end up doing is a lot around that inner child, because the wedding planning was just the trigger. It's normally about self-belief and the value, spending money on themselves. Some of it's about imposter syndrome. So a lot of it is about comparison, because cousin Jenny had this huge affair and you're expected to keep the Joneses.
And generationally, lots of people kind of get married at the same time. So, and this is a sweeping statement, because lots of people get married at lots of different stages of their lives, but it tends to be like kind of between 20 and 35 is when people are getting married the most. And there are lots of other people getting married within their circles. So there's this period of time, like a rite of passage, where you're going to all your mates' weddings, and this person's doing this thing, and this person's doing that thing, and this person's doing that. And I've seen this with particularly my sister-in-laws, both of them. They're in their 20s into their 30s now, watching all of their friends get married. And then when it came to their weddings, the conversation was around like, oh, we can't do that because this person's done that. We can't do that because this person's done that. We can't do that because this person's done that. And I'm like, you can do whatever the F you want. I'm just like putting that out there for you.
And a lot of the conversation as well is around perfectionism. And I know a lot of people will say, don't strive for perfect, because it doesn't exist.
No.
There's no point at all in even starting the conversation with the bride to be like that, because it's their big day, and of course they want perfection.
They want it to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about reframing it. And it was like, of course you can have perfect, you can have your version of perfect, you can be perfectly you, because no one else can do that. So let's focus on that and get perfectly you and perfectly your partner into your wedding plans and move forward from that. But there's an awful lot there around that comparison. And I say a lot of it is around those self-limiting beliefs and that inner child work.
And that goes much deeper. And like you say, the wedding's just the trigger. It's interesting as well that weddings are a motive for wider families as well. You get people that want to be involved and that want to say, and especially when it comes to things like finances, particularly with wider families. Me and Wallace were kind of like, we're just going to do it ourselves, because we didn't, Mum wasn't in a position at that time to be able to help and all of that. And we didn't kind of, because we were a little bit later in getting on with it, it wasn't, it wasn't that our families didn't want to be involved. They were involved in different ways emotionally, but there was no financial ties, and we did a lot of it ourselves. That isn't so for lots and lots of people. So you've got aunties that want to say in something, mums, dads that want to say in something, and sometimes you get parents that want to live vicariously through their kids in delivering these weddings. And do you help with helping brides and grooms create boundaries around that? Is that something you come across often?
Yeah, and it's the whole dynamic. So the key things really is a lot of it's around that inner child work, self-limiting beliefs. The next one is money mindset. Actually paying for themselves or have someone contributing, because it's interesting how what people earn is still a taboo subject. And I've met couples who are paying it for them by themselves, and yet they've still not had an open conversation about what they earn, what they spend, what's available. So they're setting themselves up to fail before they even get going. So I sometimes feel a bit like a relationship counsellor, as well, because it's like, there's a lot of conversation we need to have as a couple before we even extend this to family members. And we also then do some work about, having those difficult conversations, creating those boundaries, and again using some of the NLP work about third person, try and think about how they're feeling and thinking. I'm sure their comment was meant with the best intent. And then I find myself in a bit of a mediation role then with the family, with regards to trying to discuss money, discuss plans, discuss guest lists. Guest lists are a huge area for
I bet they are.
When you're like, you must invite Auntie Joan, and yet she's not seen you since you were 5 years old.
You've not had a conversation with her, like you don't even know Auntie Joan's phone number. And we were very much like that when we planned our wedding. We were, if we've not spoke to this person in a couple of years, I'm not going to be spending a couple of £100 on them for a day out. Is how I kind of thought of it. If I wouldn't take them out for dinner normally, then I think we need to have a conversation of, Walsh wouldn't have invited anybody. He was like, I just want to get married, I'm not asked. And I was like, but I wanted a celebration, because it was the end of a massive a massive period of shift and change for us. It was like almost like the happy ending at the end of the story that everybody hears about me. So the survival and all of that sort of stuff. Our wedding was really a celebration of us moving the F on from that. And there were so many people that had helped along the way. And I was like, I want to celebrate those people. But in a similar vein, if I'd not spoke to that person in the last couple of years, or I wouldn't take that person out for a posh dinner, then I was like, fuck it, we're not going to invite. But not everybody has that luxury or that strength or that boundary around that. And again, getting people involved, you've got to invite this side of the family, or you can't invite this side of the family, even more contentiously. It's a fucking minefield.
Oh, it is. And it's just so, sometimes it's so heartbreaking to hear some of the stories the brides are sharing in that, it's their marriage at the end of the day, it's a celebration of them coming together as a couple. And again, I'm sure most of what is said is with the best intention, and they're trying to keep everybody safe from any criticism when you're being encouraged to invite other people and stuff like that. But some of the turmoil of these brides, I've had brides actually phone me saying, I'm calling it all off, I can't do it anymore. And it's over a guest list. And we're like, okay, let's get back to what the day is really about.
Yes.
And I do feel I'm preaching a little bit, because actually I didn't practice what I preached. So Vince and I have been married, it'll be 10 years next year.
Yeah.
And we are doing a vow renewal. So I can have the day that I wanted, because actually 10 years ago, perhaps I didn't.
Right.
And again, I made that mistake. So 10 years ago, I was still working in the corporate world. I was quite successful with regards to my position in the organisation. I was the accountant and the head of finance and the project manager. And I'm like, doing a wedding, sorted, no problems, dead easy.
Yeah.
I got that wrong. Oh my, did I get it wrong? The practical bit, fine. The emotional pull of doing a wedding, and we literally set a date within 6 months.
Right.
And good old Kate and Wills came a bit along and pinched me date as well. They got married on the same weekend.
How very dare they?
So needless to say, Elton John didn't turn up at mine because he had to go. I told him I understood. Yeah, this is it. I understood. From a career point of view, I understood why you had to go there. However, and that's the bit that I totally overlooked. So it's not about the practical bit. You can be great at planning, you can be great at getting the jobs done.
Yeah.
It's the emotional pull of what you go through in trying to juggle that. Because I'm one of 4. Dad's remarried 3 times. There's now 8 of us. It's the whole top table conversation. It's the whole mum's coming with a boyfriend. Who speaks it? Before we even got outside my circle of family, to go away. It's and our mum and dad are always very much, we're best mates, you should never have got married. And they are best mates, but you still can't help but feel a little bit awkward because the dynamics don't fit. Yeah. But then you've got a question, but who says it doesn't fit? Blended families are the norm now. So why are we overthinking things and making things overcomplicated to cause all this? Because all this emotional turmoil doesn't really exist. We create it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the key phrases that I held with me as I got married was, I want a strong marriage. The wedding's just the party about it. It's just the party. Do you want, is it the wedding or the marriage that you want? If it's just the wedding that you want, have a fucking party. Just go and have a party. But if it's the marriage that you want, concentrate on what's on the other side of this. If you're building yourself up with so much stress about one day, you've got a whole lifetime after that. Set yourselves up for that. Think about what you're actually celebrating here is the fact that you've decided that you're going to spend the rest of your lives together. And I find it fascinating being on the inside of the wedding industry as well. So being an entertainer, and Vicky Head's watching, she's going to be joining us. She's a photographer. Will be joining us next week. Deep Bajwa from Opulence Events in London is watching. I know so many of you are involved in the events and the wedding industry. When you are a member of somebody's wedding team, even as an entertainer, you are in the family for that amount of time, especially on the day. You're on the team, isn't it? Yeah. And do you find that with your brides and your grooms that, you're very much a part of that process? Do you get invited to the weddings at the end?
Yes. So some do, and some do as a guest. Some actually, the brides want you there on the morning.
Yeah, to rub the shoulders and G them up ready, like a coach ready for a fight.
Literally. So there's one particular bride, she won't mind me sharing a story, and hers was very much around that. the fear of walking down the aisle. She just could not be much of
Being on
attention.
show.
Yeah, and she'd get that anxiety rash that would come up, even down to even down to wanting to change her dress and everything because of it. We did lots of work together, and then literally, I think it was within 48 hours notice, she was like, I still can't go up the aisle, I need you there. And what I'd done is, I think I'd created a bit of an anchor with me, so that we'd work so closely.
Yes.
So there's lessons learned for myself there, but because I'd created the anchor, I needed to be there, and I had to sit near the front as well, near a family. I felt right. Because she needs to be able to focus on me to get up the aisle.
But it's real. So many brides I have worked with are like, I'm scared about walking down the aisle, and it's like, it's 10 seconds out your whole day, and I get it, but you're killing your whole excitement over 10 seconds. I don't want to be this. Some people won't even get married because they don't want to be the center of attention for the day. And there's a lot of nerves, and like you say, the work that you do is like unpicking that worthiness, I guess. That it's, do you feel worthy having all eyes on you? And often the answer is no. It's a scary prospect for a lot of people. That's why I think your work is so important, because it isn't just the wedding. It's all of the other stuff that then the work that people get to do with you will then have a knock-on effect on into their marriage. And I think I can't believe that I'd never come across anybody who did what you do before I came across you, because the more you explain it, the more I'm like, God, yes. So many of my brides for the weddings that I've performed at need a Bev in their life to have helped them through it. Not even because they're bridezilla. I've come across more mumzillas and groomzillas than I have bridezillas.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. They need to feel a bridezilla, because as soon as they start putting their foot down, as soon as things start running away with themselves and they start putting their foot down, they're very aware of that label of the bridezilla. And again, reverting back to the talk that I did at Be Inspired, it was very much about wearing those labels. Which ones are you going to keep because you're comfortable with, and which ones do you want to shed? And it's very much, I think, as soon as a bride feels that she's being picky or is being too vocal about what she wants, she's very aware of being called a bridezilla. And it's like you say, it's not, it's the parents, it's the cousins, sometimes it's the bestie, you know what I mean? And they don't realise what they're saying. In those open conversations where perhaps a bride's sort of trying to let off, going, I'm not sure about, what about? And a lot of the conversation is always about them then. So they'll say, oh, well, I got married, X happened when I got married, Y happened, and your head gets filled with everybody else's story. Yeah, it's a bit like yourself, Be Inspired when you come on with your bag of shit.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what brides come to me with. It's like, I've got this bag of shit. And by the time we unpacked it, none of it was theirs. Yeah. It's like, none of this belongs to you.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning. Go and wake Daddy up. She just popped her head in. Oh, she's bang on time. Look up her state. The bridezilla tag, Joanne Smith's just saying the bridezilla tag does need a reframe, because it's classic. It is classic suppression of, and don't you know what I'm like for getting on my little feminist soapbox, but it's classic suppression of women holding their boundaries, of actually saying, I want this. It's okay to want what you want to want. That's okay. It doesn't make you bridezilla. You're only bridezilla when you're unkind. You're only bridezilla when it's like 4 a.m. and you're on the phone like that. Like when you're letting your anxiety get away with you, then yeah, I get it. But actually holding your boundaries and just saying, no, these are the things that I want. These are the things that on this day of my life that I'm spending an absolute fuck ton of money on. And all of this, these are the things that I'm allowed. Yes. And that's a hard concept for a lot of women to get their head around, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And it's like you say as well, let's not shy away from the bloody expensive dues as well. And what I keep saying with the brides as well is, why invest all that money on everybody else and their day, and then come to me and say, I don't feel worthy of having what I want, I don't feel worthy of walking up the aisle and being centre of attention. It's like, but you've already put a value on your wedding in monetary terms, so why can't we put the same value in emotion, in value, in well-being, and it's trying to translate, and again by the use of language and translating that value from money to actually feeling experiences, creating those memories. Once you get that shift, some brides are like, hell yeah, I'm going to go and take. Luckily, no one's had a huge fall. You know, no one's gone back to the parents and gone, Bev said. Luckily, I've not got there.
Bev said I'll take control of the whole thing and fuck a lot of you. It's fine. I'm going to take reins now. Thank you. Create huge chasms in families over these bloody things. Michaela Gordon, I had a very similar situation to you, Dani, and our wedding was to be our happy ending, but my husband wanted a big wedding. I didn't, so went along with it. I'm just going to pop this on the screen because it's quite a big one. It's going to cover us, but it's okay. So I went along with it and it was awful and I can't even look at the photos. In fact, I've hidden the stick thing with them on. My family and his have been so scathing to me, even on the day before, about maybe you'll make this one work. That's them putting your stuff. That's I can't read the rest of it because it won't let me. My husband was lovely, but to not have one picture of the day is upsetting for him. But if you've got so much, and this is the potential here, isn't it? This is the potential negative outcomes. Like you said, you look back on your wedding, you didn't do things the way that you wanted to do it. And the work that you do allows couples to not have that. It frees them of having that. So, Michaela, if you say, for example, you'd had someone like Beverly in your corner in the run up to your wedding, maybe you would have been empowered to make different decisions so that you can look back on those photos. But if you're carrying around everybody else's shit, maybe you'll make this one work. Which husband is this? Is this husband number 3, husband number 4? You know, you're thinking, God, how are you able then to focus on maybe husband number 4 being the right one? Yeah, exactly. If everyone's taking the piss, or husband number 3 or husband number 2 or whatever. Joanne's thinking, I'm thinking bride boss for being unapologetic and owning her dreams. So I've got Joanne's creatively thinking about now your potential merch that can come off this. I love it. Sandra, this is the conversations we have during fittings. It's that every member of the wedding team that people pull to them become privy to these conversations. Don't they?
And I think I do need to do a bit of a shout out to the wedding industry actually, because obviously with COVID-19, what a lot of industry suppliers have found them doing is they've been a bit of a bridal coach on the side as well, because they've had clients phone in absolute turmoil because data has to be changed. So I do want to do a huge shout out to the wedding industry, because actually the support and wraparound care they've all stepped up and given has been amazing. But equally, I want to remind people of their responsibility. So I've had some brides come on and it's just been a little one-liner, say drawing a dress fitting or something like that, where it's like, well, yeah, it'll be great. Once you lose your weight, this bit will I say, well, in assumption, I'm not happy with my body shape. And so I think the industry does need to take accountability that sometimes we add, and what can seem a very small flippant comment, because they haven't got the emotional resilience right now, the impact of that is far greater than what was intended.
And throwaway comment. And the assumption is always that brides are losing weight for their wedding. It's the number one thing that people want to lose weight for.
Yes.
And it is because of that stigma. Like, I don't want to be a fat bride. Or you don't want to be a fat bride. Sorry. I was a fat bride. But even I got a little bit swept up in all of that. I didn't look the way I wanted to look. I didn't want to be a fat bride. Like, it was the most terrible thing in the world. But throwaway comments throughout that, from the people that are surrounding the bride, from the people that are looking after their dresses and stuff. Like Sandra said, it's a dreadful thing to say. And I know that Sandra wouldn't say something like that.
No, and again, it's just, there may have even been a conversation with the bride where the bride has offered up, I am hoping to lose weight. But what you don't then do is continuously mention it, suggest it, allow them to have a personal goal and let them achieve that. Personally, we don't add to that. It's the same with wedding planners, and wedding planners will make an assumption. I mean, my wedding, I sent my photographer home. I got that fed up of him. So the lady has hardly got any photos, nor me, but I did a Bev moment and I sent him home. And that's because he was constantly making a big thing about my mum and dad being divorced. He's like, how are you going to make a big thing? How are you going to do the photos? And I'm like, they talk, they're not going to kill each other. It's fine. And I didn't get a photo with them because he he made an assumption that that wasn't the right thing to do because they were divorced.
Right.
It's the same with, because Vince had been married before, he had the two children, Lisa and Alex. Lisa and Alex were there. And I can't remember how many times he said to the children, come and stand next to your mum. And he knew I wasn't their mum.
Right.
And we've got two small children, they were 10 and 12 then. And that only then, you know, the worries that they'll have about, well, I'm now going to have a stepmom, how does the dynamics change? Will my mum still be my mum? It's bound to have gone through their head.
Yeah.
And so what the photographer was doing without realising was creating another issue. And none of those issues existed. And this is what my big plea is to the wedding industry and the suppliers. Be aware of your behaviour and language as well, because actually you're creating the issue.
Yeah.
Because you're sort of suggesting to the bride, you know, so like wedding planners and blended families, or what you can do with the top table then, because you can't do it traditionally. Maybe you don't have it. Well, it shouldn't be you can have it or you can't. It'll be, let's work together, let's make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. And the more we have these conversations, the more we're open to having these conversations. You know, it used to be, men, I know you're watching out there and you know I love you very, very much, but it used to be an old boys game, didn't it? The wedding industry, you know, and now, like, I see that, you know, the communities that I'm a part of, again, the luxury wedding lounge that Deep runs. There's some fabulous, you know, wedding communities out there. Kelly Mortimer runs an incredible wedding community for wedding suppliers out there. And it is beautiful to see the amount of women that are coming through that aren't just in the atypically female roles within weddings, like floristry or cake making or what have you. It's beautiful to see that there are the wider wedding industry community is becoming more mobilized from a female capacity, because it is a female centric experience, really. I know it's about the bride and the groom, but you know, the wedding is often the experience that the brides are creating. So it's nicer to have people that are thinking a little bit more about them and their experience than what they think the experience should be for the bride and the groom.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And it is switching those dynamics back to the couple. And again, to give a shout out to the grooms, because the grooms put up with an awful lot, because sometimes, you know, us women do have to take accountability. We get giddy with excitement around the shiny.
I got giddy then. I got giddy.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah, us as women, we can get a bit excited about the, you know, the shiny part of the wedding and everything like that. And we do leave the boys behind a bit. And I've done some work with grooms as well, where it's like, you know, I feel the wedding's taken over. And, you know, I'm getting to the point where I'm a woman, I don't really know, because we've barely spoken for the past 6 months, unless it's I didn't speak. You know, and there is stuff as well, you know, we've got to give the lads the benefit of the doubt as well. You know, father of bride and somebody asking him to do a speech. It's a big thing.
Yes.
Sometimes we allow traditions to take over rather than understanding what other people want. Do you get what I mean?
There's this whole, like, so many best men I speak to cannot enjoy their best mate's wedding until they've spoken, and sometimes that's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's been this whole day of amazing stuff that's happened in the run-up from waking up in the morning, having a breakfast and getting ready with the groom and all this sort of stuff, and there's been the whole build-up. They've not been able to actually enjoy the day until they've spoken, and then they can relax. There's this whole build, and then, you know, when we say, you know, glossophobia is the number one fear in the world, it's public speaking again, where people have wound themselves up. It's why when it comes to saying the vows, it's the most stressful bit, and it's because they've got to say things out of their face in front of other people. It's rooted in a fear of speaking. It's crazy how much it infiltrates, and, you know, especially within the wedding industry. So yeah, huge shout out to the wedding industry. Like, again, being on the inside of it, I've seen lots of my friends' businesses fold. I've seen lots of my friends' businesses, you know, that especially those first 2 months, and no one knew the arse from the elbow. We weren't getting any real guidance, and even the guidance that we're getting now is like, I still can't sing at anybody's weddings that I'm booked in for. So we've had to, like, rearrange stuff or not, or cancel, and people have had whole legs, like, kicked out. and I've found that people have fallen into two different camps. One has been that they've just been totally understanding, and then that's been it. And the other have been like, no, we're keeping hold of deposits because it was a force majeure and you can't get out of the, you know. And even I, at the beginning, I was like, no, you've cancelled, like, the deposit's the deposit. And then I realised, actually, no one gets a say in any of this. They're having a terrible time. So it was much easier for me to start paying back deposits and stuff once I got my head around that. But it's been a weird thing for everybody to mind themselves about, because the venues particularly are losing cash hand over fist. Everybody is. It's crackers. It's absolutely crackers.
And it's to understand that the impact will go a lot further than the current situation. So some venues I know have closed now. So this is now impacting 2021, 2022 brides, because they're now without a venue. They've got everything else and no venue. And of course, because 2020 has ended up the way it has, 2021 weddings.
It's now double bubble.
We're literally doing on Monday to Sunday. You know, the new trend is a Tuesday wedding, because you're trying to fit everybody in, and you know, the wedding industry as a whole, again, you know, huge shout out and gratitude to them all, because they've all done their very best. We'll fit you in, we'll make it work, and if they can't be there, they've still made sure that they've been able to refer on to someone who's got a similar style to them, especially around like photographers and florists, because it's very much about that style that's been purchased, isn't it?
Yeah.
But 2020, you know, it's that sort of bittersweet thing, really, because 2021 is going to be a bumpy year, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think we as industry suppliers have got a responsibility to make sure it's still that high energy, fun, exciting thing.
We've still got to deliver for the people that have really missed out this year. We've got to, it's like I said, double bubble. It's over delivering for those people now, isn't it?
It is. And I think the more I've been shown up for my brides, the more I've had fellow suppliers reach out to me around their mindset, because they've gone through 3 months of absorbing everybody else's emotions, and that's a lot to carry.
Yeah.
So now it's got to the point where it's like, you know, I haven't got the enthusiasm for what I do anymore. I don't know how I'm going to deliver my weddings. What?
Did you see him put down? He's been a ninja. He's been attacked by the dog on the floor. I can't even show you. Oh dear.
But, I forgot what I'm saying now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We was interrupted by. We were talking about wedding suppliers feeling like that they haven't got the energy because they've been absorbing lots from their clients, lots from the rest of the industry. You know, we are a wider team together. Like, I have suppliers that I work with all the time, of, you know, communities that I'm in, and it's heavy, isn't it? It's heavy.
It is. It's proper heavy stuff. And for those who've been trained professionally around being a coach or a therapist, we seek supervision on a regular basis. So we have that helping hand where we can offload. So we make sure we cleanse our sort of emotional state regularly. But for those in the industry, they've gone through a similar process, but they haven't got that skill with regards to cleansing their own emotions.
Right.
Like you say, you know, emptying that bag that you've been carrying around with you. They just don't know how to do that.
Right.
So interestingly, the more I've been showing up with brides, the more I've had fellow suppliers reach out to me to say, I'm just in a state. I'm waking up so much fatigue because of the conversations from the previous day.
Yeah.
Then the phone goes, they're having to put on this bright, bushy, hey, how are you? Trying to keep everything.
Yeah, no problem. We'll do next year. They're looking at the diary for next year, thinking, oh my God.
Yeah.
What am I going to do next year?
And there is this big sense of overwhelm, and for a lot of us in the wedding industry as well, it is a second job. We still work somewhere else, and so they feel that they can't return that loyalty to the bride, because it's like, I physically can't do midweek weddings. It isn't part of their sort of business plan.
What they're offering, yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So that makes it very awkward then, because then you are having the conversation of, well, who's cancelling who when you can't do a date, and then again, relationships are getting fraught, and conversations perhaps aren't as friendly as they could be around who owes who, the deposit and stuff like that. And it's a lot to take on as an individual. And also most industry suppliers, it's just them. It's quite a lonely world that we live in. it's only because we're on site setting up that you get to see people. But of course, all that stopped as well. So we've got no outlet at all at the minute.
So is that something that wedding suppliers can get in touch with you for? I feel like there's a whole workshop series here that, like, do you know what I mean? That as a wedding supplier, you know, other people that I know within the industry, getting your head around what's coming and helping lay the foundations feels like a whole thing. If that's not already a thing, like that needs to be a thing. Like, you heard it here first if it's not.
It is fast becoming a thing. So I have been working with, I think there's about 23 of us in a group now, where we just ended up creating a bit of a Facebook group, safe space, all to be able to give out and make sure they're checking in with me emotionally.
You're all right,
yeah. And we're all just sort of doing that sort of business bestie bit as well in trying to wrap around, because people come on to the group and say, I've just had this email from the bride, and the bride is giving out, and the instinct is to go, oh, she's a bit of a bridezilla, but you've got to unpick all that, and you've got to walk in her shoes and understand why she's saying things in the manner she is. Then you've got to pick yourself, and then you've got those two responses. You've got your business head response, but then you've got your emotional response and that ethical response, and then you have that heart head wrangling, and all of that creates that emotional fatigue. So there is stuff that we're working on, and there's stuff that we're working on as well around, again, money mindset, because a lot of suppliers feel that their value has been, their offer has been devalued somehow because of this crisis.
Yes.
Which is absolutely a thing to say, but that's how a lot of them are feeling, that it's been devalued because of the way things kind of got cancelled. It's not being, and still now we're not getting clarity with the legislation, how it's going to change, and it does feel like we're being a bit left behind, and the industry isn't valued by the government. So there's that sense of devaluing, and then there's the perception of the bride is incurring extra costs because they're changing everything. So you feel you need to support that by perhaps changing your prices as well.
Taking a hit.
Yeah, and it's digging away. And at the end of the day, we're in business. Yes, we're in business, we are, because we love what we do. We love bringing joy to people. And the wedding industry is a fantastic one to work in because of all the nice things. But they are running business at the end of the day. And their mental well-being has to be 100% to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
And they're the sort of conversations we've been having this past week, really, is about that value and the value that they're feeling, and they're feeling very devalued at the minute.
Yeah, especially with the, with the announcements around only 30 people allowing to be present, no singing allowed, you're not allowed to dance, you're not allowed to, you're like, what is it? Culturally, we love a good wedding, we love a good knees up, and sometimes weddings are the only time families get together. I mean, it's awful, really. So many funerals you go to, I've said to family members, God, the only time that we get together is when someone's passed or when someone's getting married. Like, it's one of the only times in a family's calendar where they get together. And to say, right, you can only now have 30 people just now, and then everyone else is going to watch online. It's just so weird, isn't it? So how do we find out more about what you do, and how do we hang out with you, Bev? Because I think everybody in the wedding industry needs you in their life.
Well, I can be found on most social media channels now, after being coached by the wonderful Deep, who is on. I am now proud of a social media platform that I can often put out because I have my arse kicked.
It's important now more than ever for you to share with people what it is that you do. Like, even having this conversation today, I'm sure it's highlighted so many people watching how needed your services are now more than ever to help people be emotionally ready, A, for what's coming, B, with the changes that are happening, and then all of the normal stuff that goes with getting married anyway.
And this is it, and I think that's the point I need to make, really. So bridal coaching existed anyway. It was needed anyway. It's one of life's huge projects, and I've been doing bridal coaching since 2017, albeit very quiet and kind of behind the scenes. And 2020 was my year with regards to let's launch this properly, let's get it out there, let's do. Hence coming to yourself around, upping my game around my visibility and speaking on stage, and then engaging with Deep around that coaching, about that wedding industry network. And but it was needed anyway. The current situation makes it a lot more difficult for brides. But I don't want it to be seen as this is a response to current situation.
No, it was always there.
Yeah, and there's an awful lot of younger couples who start their married life with mental health issues, and a lot of it comes from the stress from planning a wedding, or the triggers it's created around their self-worth and value.
Right.
So if you're starting your married life on that back foot, it's going to be difficult, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
From that point of view, and that's the message I want to give, really, because I'm really conscious of, does it look like you're showing up because of the current situation? Yes,
Definitely
I am. But I am, because it's needed even more so.
Yeah, it's almost like the volume has been turned up on the necessity.
Exactly.
For a necessity that was already there. But we unpick that at the start of the conversation, like, how needed is this for couples? Well, yeah, now more than ever, the conversation around mental health is getting louder. The conversation around everything is getting louder in terms of looking after up here and in here, and having people like yourself that help people through these big life changes. This is a life change. You go from being boyfriend and girlfriend to being husband and wife. And that is however we look at it, is a dynamic change in and of itself. And then everything that goes with it. And having someone to kind of hold your hand through that process and realize what's real and what's not real, because we create all kinds of fabrications for ourselves that affect our mental health. And this is, one of the things that you help people unpack. It's so needed. And again, with the uncertainty, or with the, again, massive changes that are happening for not just people that are having weddings, but the people that are involved in weddings.
Yeah.
We need a little bit of Bev in our lives, don't we? That's what we need.
Yeah. So yeah, people can find me back on all my social media channels have the same name, so it's Wedding Bliss.
Yeah.
So you can find me by searching Wedding Bliss.
Yeah.
And also me as an individual. So fortunately, I married an Italian man. So with my surname being Futia, Futia, I'm easy to stalk on social media. Easy enough to find. So yeah, anybody who wants to just reach out and even hear more, really. I think a lot of what I'm doing is educating around the bridal coaching, because a lot of people don't realise it's there as an option, and it's making sure that people understand that, just as you would reach out for a performance coach in your career or a sports coach, etc., the bridal coaches are there to support you.
Amazing. Well, Beverly, I bloody love you.
This has all come from you. I'm going to sound like I'm blowing smoke up Dani's back.
Oh, tell me, go on, it's all right. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it was our anniversary, I think 2 days ago on Facebook.
Yes, it was.
A year ago, because we actually met at the Moments do that Helen McHugh put on.
Yes.
And then me being the stalker that I am, went and stalked Dani. Find out what she was all about. And so, just a shout out to those who are going through the Be Inspired programme this year, because you get a lot more out of just the public speaking bit. What this has done for my confidence, my message, my self-value as well, because a lot of coaches don't practice what they preach, and I do all this for others and you don't do it for yourself. But the work that I did with Dani, just for me, it gave me Bev back. The bit of Bev that I lost, she's back with vengeance, and I've got my sparkle back and everything like that. And they're very much, for me, being inspired and being on that stage is my anchor now. So when that imposter syndrome comes in, or I'm just not quite feeling it, that's the day I take myself back to. So the exercise I did at Be Inspired, where I took other people back to a day where they were overconfident.
Yeah.
That's actually my anchor now. That event is my anchor. So for those who are working with Dani, you are in for such a treat. And I'm also going to be there in the audience, giving it the whole...
Coming for a little dance and a boogie on the backside of all of this mess.
Yes.
Well, Bev, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You are an angel, and I know you help so many people. You've got so many more people to help, and this is really, your journey. Even though you've been at this for a while now, I feel like it's just starting to kind of catapult and grow, and it's so exciting as your friend, as well as a mentor of yours. Like, it's so exciting to see what's opening up before you, and it's just an absolute privilege and an honor to know you. So thank you so much, Beverly Futia. Thank you for being on my show this morning. I shall put you backstage like this. Beverly Futia, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Isn't she just wonderful? Isn't it interesting to see that there are people out there to support us when we didn't realize there are people out there to support us? And the more that we talk about it, the easier it is to get that support, which is why I love doing this show, is to get to share with you all of the different incredible people that are out there that can support you, you know, regardless of where you're at, whatever stage you are in your life, whatever kind of personal development that you want to look at. It is one of my loves. One of the reasons why this show has kind of become itself is because I get to share with you so many awesome people. So you might not be in the wedding industry, you might not be getting married anytime soon, but if you are and you've found some help in this morning, and then tomorrow we'll talk about something completely different. Shall I tell you what we've got coming up tomorrow? Let's have a little look. So tomorrow we have got we've got the fabulous Hilary Dunn is going to be joining us. She is an incredible, not only is she a speaker coach, but she's also a speaker agent as well. So she has a roster of all manner of wonderful people from all over the world. I cannot wait to share her with you guys. She's absolutely phenomenal. So that's Hilary Dunn coming tomorrow to talk to you more about speaking. And one of the things that is really important to me as a speaker coach myself is that there is room at the table for everybody, you know. And one of the things we're going to be talking about tomorrow is collaboration over competition. So please do join us for that at 8 o'clock in the morning for the Show Up, Wise Up, Rise Up show. If you haven't got your tickets to be inspired already, make sure that you do. It is a really, really, really special event. We've got 10 fabulous speakers. We've got swag, we've got lunch, we've got dance. We've got just a little bit of love at the end of all of this. 10th of September, that is on Eventbrite. The link is further up. Beverly will pop her links into the comments for you guys so that you can get in touch with her and get into her world. Please do. She's a lovely energy to have in your lives. In the meantime, have an incredible day. If you're not a member of the IATQB Hive, where we continue the conversation, you can actively join that. Search in the search box IATQB Hive. It stands for I am the Queen Bee. And make sure you follow me on Instagram, the Queen Bee. Dani, I love you. Have a fabulous day, and I will see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. with Hilary Dunn. Tra.